The winter wind bit through my coat as I walked down the near-empty street, my polished shoes clicking softly on the frozen pavement. It was one of those mornings when the air itself felt heavy, as if the world was holding its breath. I didn't usually take this route to the office, my driver handled that, but today I had sent him away. I needed to clear my head, to get some distance from the chaos that had been eating away at me ever since the boardroom decision 2 weeks ago. The layoffs. I had signed the papers myself. Dozens of names, each one a life turned upside down, each signature a nail in the coffin of whatever soul I had left. It was the hardest decision I'd ever made, but the numbers didn't lie. The company had to survive or everyone would have been out of a job. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. The cold stung my face as I shoved my gloved hands into my pockets, trying not to think about it anymore. That's when I heard it, a soft, trembling voice carried on the wind. Please, please, buy our puppy. I turned my head, scanning the street until I spotted her. A tiny figure, no older than 6 or 7, standing near the edge of the sidewalk. Her blonde hair spilled from under the oversized hood of a worn-out coat, and her boots looked a size too big, as if they had been passed down from someone else. Her little hands were red from the cold, clutched together as she stared at the ground. Beside her was a cardboard sign propped against the curb, "Puppy for SALE, please help." She didn't look up as I approached. The puppy, a golden retriever, barely old enough to leave its mother, sat in a small crate, whimpering softly. Its fur was fluffy and clean, but the girl, she looked like she hadn't eaten a proper meal in days. Her cheeks were pale, her lips chapped. Something in my chest tightened. I crouched down so I wouldn't tower over her. "Hey," I said softly. Careful not to scare her. "Why are you out here all alone? Where are your parents?" She slowly lifted her head, her big blue eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place, fear, sadness, maybe both. She hesitated, as if deciding whether or not to trust me. Then, in a voice barely louder than the wind, she said, "Mama's at home. She can't work right now. We need money." I thought maybe someone would buy him. She gestured weakly to the puppy. I glanced around. There was no one else on the street, no sign of any adult nearby. Just her, a trembling little girl trying to sell the only thing she had left. "Where's your dad?" I asked gently, her lips pressed together. She shook her head, not meeting my eyes. I didn't need an answer. I'd seen that look before. There was no dad. The puppy yawned, nestling deeper into the blanket inside the crate. I reached out, letting it sniff my gloved hand before I picked it up. It was warm, soft, and instantly snuggled against my chest. The girl's eyes flickered, with hope for the first time. Will you buy him?" she asked, her voice trembling. "He's really sweet. I can even bring you his food bowl and his favorite toy." "Please, Mama says we can't keep him. We don't have enough to eat and we owe rent." Her words cut through me like a knife. My mind flashed back to the spreadsheet 2 weeks ago. The layoffs. The way I had signed those papers, my pen gliding across page after page, never thinking about the faces behind the names. And then it hit me. Her last name, I had seen it before. "Wait," I said softly, setting the puppy down for a moment. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She blinked, a little startled by the question. "Lily," she said. "Lily Turner." Turner. My chest tightened. Again, harder this time. I remembered it clearly now, Angela Turner. She had been one of the employees we'd let go. A single mother. She had begged for more time during the final meeting, her voice shaking as she explained she had a little girl to take care of. The board didn't care. And in the end, neither did I. I told myself there was no other way. And now, here was her daughter, standing in the cold, selling a puppy to survive. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The world felt smaller, heavier. The polished, untouchable CEO everyone feared was gone. All that was left was a man staring into the eyes of a little girl who didn't know I was the reason her life had fallen apart. "Lily," I said quietly, my throat tight. "Where do you live? Is your mom okay?" She hesitated again, pulling her coat tighter around herself. She's sick," she whispered. "She doesn't want people to know. I told her I'd help. I thought, if I sold Max, maybe we could buy food and medicine. I don't want to, but Mama says we don't have a choice." Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. She just stood there, small and stubborn against the cold, trying to be braver than any child her age should ever have to be. I felt the puppy squirm against my chest, licking my chin as if sensing my turmoil. I wanted to tell her the truth, that I was the CEO who had signed her mother's fate, that I was the reason she was out here on this freezing street. But the words wouldn't come. Not yet. Instead, I took a deep breath and said, "All right, Lily, how about we make a deal? I'll take Max, but I don't just want to buy him. I want to make sure you and your mom are okay too." Her eyes widened slightly, suspicion flickering in them. "Why would you help us? You don't even know us." I looked down at the puppy, then back at her. Maybe I should. As I said the words, I felt something shift inside me, a decision forming, one that would change everything for her. And maybe for me too. But I still hadn't told her who I was. And when she found out, I wasn't sure if she'd ever forgive me. Lily hesitated before nodding, still hugging her coat as if it was the only thing keeping her together. "Can you just take him now?" she whispered, her breath fogging in the cold air. "I don't want Mama to know I sold him." She cry. Her words pierced me. This wasn't just about a puppy. This was a child shielding her mother from more pain. I crouched to meet her eyes. "Lily, I can't just take Max and leave you standing here. It's freezing. Where's your home? I'll walk you back. We can figure this out together." For a moment, she bit her lip, studying me, as if deciding whether or not to trust me. Finally, she nodded. "It's not far. But Mama doesn't like strangers." As we walked, Max tucked under my arm, Lily kept glancing at me, her small boots crunching over patches of snow. The streets grew quieter, buildings more worn down, until we reached a crumbling apartment block on the corner. The paint was peeling, and a broken light flickered above the entrance. She led me up 2 flights of stairs, pausing outside a door with faded numbers barely clinging to the wood. She turned to me, lowering her voice. "Please, don't tell Mama I was outside. She's already so sad." If she knew. Lily trailed off, her eyes glistening. I crouched again, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "I won't tell her," I said softly. "But Lily, I need to see her. Maybe I can help in other ways too." Before she could answer, the door opened. Woman stood in the doorway, her face pale, her once bright eyes dulled with exhaustion. She wore a worn sweater and looked like she hadn't slept in days. When she saw me, her expression froze, not with recognition at first, but with confusion. Then, realization hit. Her breath caught. "You?" Angela Turner. Her voice trembled. Not with fear, but with anger and disbelief. "What are you doing here?" Lily looked between us, confused. "Mama, he's buying Max. He said he'd help us." Angela's gaze hardened, her voice low and sharp despite her weakness. "Help us? You fired me. You ruined everything." Her hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the door for balance. I felt every ounce of her hatred like a physical blow. "Angela, I didn't come to make excuses," I said quietly, my voice softer than I'd spoken in years. "I didn't know it would bring you here, but I'm not leaving until I make this right for you and Lily." She stared at me, her jaw tight, her pride warring with desperation. Finally, she whispered, "You can't fix this. Not with money, not after what you did." And yet, there was something in her eyes, a flicker, maybe of hope, or maybe just exhaustion, and I knew I wasn't walking away. Angela's words cut deeper than I expected. I had been called ruthless before, even heartless, but hearing it from her while her daughter clung to her worn sweater, wide-eyed, made me feel like every title, every achievement, every dollar in my bank account meant nothing. Still, I didn't step back. "Angela," I said carefully, glancing at Lily, who was now crouched beside Max on the floor, hugging him tightly. "I know I can't undo what happened, but I can help now." "Let?" She crossed her arms, her thin frame trembling, though whether from anger or exhaustion, I couldn't tell. "Help? You've done enough. Do you think buying a puppy erases what you did? Do you think throwing money at us makes you the hero?" "No," I admitted, my voice low. I didn't realize the cost of that decision until today." Angela laughed bitterly, though it quickly turned into a cough that wrecked her whole body. She sank into a chair, gripping the armrest. Lily rushed to her side, eyes wide with panic. "Mama, you need your medicine." I noticed the nearly empty blister pack of pills on the counter, and a crumpled overdue notice lying beside it. "Rent, past due." I knelt down, meeting Lily's frightened eyes. "It's okay," I said gently, brushing Max's fur as he nestled closer to her. "I'll make sure she gets what she needs." Angela shot me a glare, though it lacked the fire from earlier. "Why are you really here? Guilt? Or do you just need to feel like a good person for once?" Her words stung because they weren't entirely wrong, but it was more than that. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about profit margins or board votes. I was looking at a child who had been forced to grow up too soon because of me. I stood and reached into my coat, pulling out a card and a small envelope. "This isn't charity. This is me taking responsibility. There's enough here to cover your rent, food, and medicine for months. Tomorrow I'll send someone to help with whatever you need. A job, medical support, whatever it takes." Angela stared at the envelope, then back at me, her expression unreadable. "Why? Why us?" I opened my mouth, the truth hovering on the edge of my tongue. But Lily's innocent gaze caught mine, her small hand stroking Max's back as if holding on to the only comfort she had. I couldn't shatter that innocence. Not yet. Because no one should have to sell their best friend just to survive. I said softly, "Not while I can do something about it." Angela didn't answer. She just stared at me, her eyes flickering with something: confusion, suspicion, maybe even gratitude buried deep beneath the anger. But I knew I couldn't leave. The lie unspoken forever, because sooner or later she would learn exactly who I was. The room had gone quiet, except for Max's soft whimper as Lily held him close. Angela's eyes never left me, her suspicion sharp, like she was trying to pull the truth straight out of me without words. I knew it couldn't wait any longer. Took a breath, removing my gloves and setting them on the table. "Angela, there's something I need to tell you." Her brow furrowed, wary. "What now? Another promise you can't keep?" "No," I said, my voice steady though my chest felt tight. "The company you worked for, Turner Logistics. The layoffs." She went still. Her hands gripped the edge of the chair, knuckles whitening. "Don't," she said softly, warningly, as if she already knew what I was about to say. I swallowed hard. I was the one. "I'm the CEO who signed your release papers. I'm the reason you lost your job." The words hung heavy between us, the air thick with tension. Lily looked up, confused, not understanding the weight of what I'd said. Angela, though her expression hardened into something cold, wounded. "You," she whispered, each syllable cutting like ice. "You're the reason my daughter was out on a freezing street, begging strangers to buy her puppy. You're the reason I'm behind on rent, choosing between my medicine and food for Lily." Her voice cracked, but she didn't cry. She was too proud for that. I didn't defend myself. I didn't tell her about the boardroom, the numbers, the necessity. None of it mattered to her or to me anymore. I just said, "I know, and I can't change what I did, but I can make it right now. Not as a CEO, as a man who owes you both far more than money." Angela's lips trembled, but her anger kept her silent. Lily glanced between us, sensing the storm but not understanding it. I placed the envelope gently on the table, sliding it toward her. "This will cover your rent, your medicine, and more. Tomorrow, I'll have a position waiting for you, better pay. Flexible hours so you can be with Lily. And if you'd rather never see me again, I'll honor that. But I'm not walking away without making sure you both have a future." Angela's eyes softened, just slightly, though her pride still fought to keep her walls up. She stared at the envelope, then at Lily, who was now giggling softly as Max licked her cheek, unaware of the tension. Finally, Angela whispered, "I don't forgive you." "Not yet, but thank you." I nodded, a small weight lifting from my chest. "That's all I ask. Let me help, even if you never forgive me." As I turned to leave, Lily's voice stopped me. "Mister?" I glanced back. She hugged Max tightly and smiled, small but genuine. "Thank you for buying my puppy. And for helping Mama. You're nice." Her words struck deeper than any insult ever could. For the first time in years, I felt like more than just a CEO. And as I walked out into the cold, I knew I hadn't just saved them. They had saved me too.